Grand Teton National Park, a scene rich with extraordinary wildlife, pristine lakes, and alpine terrain. This wild, untamed landscape is a beautiful place for adventurers and nature lovers. And it can also be a dangerous place.
On September 19th, 2021, the body of a 22-year-old woman is discovered in the park. It's Gabby Petito, a bright, free-spirited young woman who's been living the dream with the love of her life, Brian Laundrie.
The lovers have been living many other people's dreams as well. The camera-ready couple has built a large and loyal following on social media.
Gabby's death is a shock to her family, friends, and followers, but it's not a complete surprise. There are a lot of dangers when you're a nomad, trying to survive such a risky lifestyle. Wild animals, weather, accidents, breakdowns.
But for Gabby Petito, the most perilous risk of all may have been the one closest to home. As a captivated nation watches and wonders, it will take months for police to follow the unbeaten trail until the person responsible for Gabby's death is held accountable. Blue Point, a suburb of New York City with a population of around 5,000 people. The hamlet in Suffolk County on Long Island offers a rural feel while still being close to the city.
It's no wonder kids from this scenic, active community grow up to love the outdoors, like Gabrielle Venora Petito. Gabrielle, known to her family and friends as Gabby, is born in Blue Point on March 19, 1999. Gabby grows up surrounded by sandy beaches, serene landscapes, and nature trails. This diverse environment plays a major role in nurturing her early love for the outdoors.
As a teen, Gabby's social media overflows with photos of her hiking, strolling on beaches, or enjoying nature, bearing testimony to her passions. She's energetic and has a lot of friends that support her. At times, she's stubbornly independent, but that's what people love about her.
Gabby's family is another source of grounding and love for her.
Gabby shares an enduring bond with her mother, Nicole Schmidt, and her father, Joseph Petito. They celebrate life's highs and weather its lows, always together.
Gabby's stepfather, Jim Schmidt, and stepmother, Tara Petito, also play significant roles in her upbringing and personal growth.
Gabby's the oldest of 6 siblings and half-siblings. It's a close, blended family full of caring and support.
Being the oldest of the children, there's a sense of nurturing she shares with all her siblings. She exudes a motherly quality to them.
Gabby attends Bayport Blue Point High School. With Gabby's bright smile and bubbly personality, she catches the attention of many boys. But she only has eyes for one. Passionate, outdoorsy Brian Laundrie.
Brian Laundrie lives less than 2 miles from Gabby Petito in Blue Point. They meet when he's a junior at Blue Point High and she's a sophomore.
Gabby and Brian's individual personalities, while distinct, share a core common of interests. Gabby's vivacious and free-spirited aura complements Brian's more introspective, nature-loving, minimalist demeanor.
Gabby graduates in 2017, and she and Brian begin dating in March of 2019.
There's an immediate connection between the couple, and their relationship buds at a fast rate.
While Gabby brings an effervescence to their relationship, Brian's thoughtful, deep-rooted respect for the outdoors is a good balance.
Brian is deeply concerned about conservation, environmental degradation, and the importance of coexisting harmoniously with nature.
Brian, like Gabby, has a love of art and drawing. His sketches depict serene landscapes, flora and fauna, and occasionally abstract interpretations of his feelings and thoughts.
Their love for and connection through nature and art is undeniable. These two are meant to be.
Not long after they start dating, Gabby moves from New York to North Point, Florida, to live with Brian at his parents' home.
Brian's parents are supportive of the couple as they share common interests and have a mutual respect for one another. They sense a strong relationship that's building into something more.
Gabby works as a pharmacy technician, and Brian works in the grocery department at a Publix supermarket.
While living together, Gabby and Brian also start working together to spend as much time together as possible. Like most young lovers, they can't get enough of each other.
In early 2020, at the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic, Gabby and Brian quit their jobs. During the early stages of the pandemic, just like the rest of the world, Gabby and Brian try to figure out what to do next.
The pandemic is forcing people to isolate, and it was a really overwhelming time. So to make the most of it, Gabby and Brian resolved to get away and isolate in nature.
Gabby and Brian decide to journey out on their first long adventure together, a cross-country road trip from New York to California in July of 2020.
Their first trip together is a huge success and cements their love for each other even more. A few months after returning home, Gabby and Brian get engaged. Their adventure is just beginning. Now engaged and still in the midst of a worldwide pandemic, Gabby and Brian start thinking about taking another trip together. They research what is commonly referred to as van life.
Van life, or van dwelling, is a lifestyle choice where people literally live in a van, either full-time or part-time. It gains popularity during the pandemic because it's an interesting and adventurous way to socially distance from one another.
Van lifers are also known for posting the ins and outs of their everyday lives on social media.
They decided to quit their jobs and head out on an adventure of a lifetime, documenting their travels in their van.
Gabby and Brian's first cross-country trip was great, but it was cramped and uncomfortable because they did it in a small car. Van life is the perfect solution for their next adventure.
In December of 2020, Gabby purchases a 2012 Ford Transit Connect van converted into a camper.
Gabby's love for art and design inspired her to make the van her own and create a personal little home for her and Brian on the inside.
Gabby's creative side is put to the test, and she delivers. The van is comfortable with an eclectic charm that only she could design.
In late June of 2021, Gabby and Brian are ready to begin their van life journey.
They had a converted van that they were living in, and the whole purpose was to just document the essence behind living a more nomadic lifestyle, of being outside, capturing sunsets, showing the world a bit more about the beautiful parts of America, but also just who they were as a couple.
Gabby uses her Instagram account and Nomadic Static YouTube page as ways to post pictures and short videos about the trip as soon as they hit the road. Gabby and Brian are a good-looking, fun couple living the dream. It doesn't take long to amass a loyal group of online followers and fans who live vicariously through Gabby's posts.
Gabby was really trying to grow a bit more of a social media following and become known as an online influencer and blogger.
Gabby's biggest fan, though, is her mom, Nicole Schmidt. Nicole keeps up to date on her daughter's escapades through her many social media posts. And of course, Gabby regularly phones home to regale her mom with tales of her and Brian's amazing van life.
2 months into the trip, on August 25th, Gabby phones home as she has all along. As usual, Gabby's in good spirits. She's happy. She's bubbly. She's Gabby.
2 days later, on August 27th, things look very different. Gabby's mother, Nicole, suddenly hasn't heard from her daughter in a couple of days.
Gabby has been proudly documenting her 2,300-mile journey with fiancé Brian on social media, but things have gone quiet there too. Gabby hasn't posted since August 25th.
Gabby's family was very concerned when they couldn't reach her, and several days had gone without any contact from their daughter.
Gabby's parents are anxious regarding her silence. It's hard not to let your mind run wild. Was there an accident, a fire? Were they attacked by a bear? Are they sick, injured, or stranded? But remember, Gabby's done a trip like this before, and she's with her partner, Brian. They'll take care of each other.
Then, finally, Gabby's mother receives a text. It reads, "Can you help Stan? I just keep getting his voicemails and missed calls."
The message seems to refer to Gabby's grandfather, whose name is Stan. But it's strange for Gabby to refer to her grandpa by his first name.
The text is odd, but Gabby's family tries to stay calm. They're so far away, there's not much they can do. Gabby's on the West Coast, and they still live across the country in New York.
On August 30th, another text from Gabby, and this one simply says, "No service in Yosemite."
It's abrupt, which isn't like Gabby, but at least they received a text. Obviously, Gabby's mother would like to talk to her daughter more, but if there's no service, then there's no service.
It explains why Gabby's been silent. The family breathes a sigh of relief. Until the next day.
On September 1st, Brian Laundrie shows up at his parents' house in Florida in the van life van, without Gabby. He's alone.
They didn't post any information about a possible breakup online, so it's odd that he arrives without her.
It's over 2,700 miles from Yosemite National Park to Brian's parents' house in Florida. There's no way someone could drive that distance in one day.
So if Brian is in Florida with the van life van, where is Gabby? Young couple Gabby Petito and Brian Laundrie are living the van life dream, sharing their adventures with a loyal online following. It's been a few days since 22-year-old Gabby's parents have heard from her, outside of a couple of odd, out-of-character texts. And now, Brian's returned home to Florida with the van, and without Gabby. Gabby's family is worried. Nothing so far seems to add up to an answer that makes any sense. Gabby's mom, Nicole Schmidt, tries to get in touch with the Laundries for some sort of answer or explanation, but Brian's family isn't interested in communicating with them at all.
Apparently, Roberta, Brian's mom, even blocks Nicole's cell phone and blocks her on social media. Brian's parents are standoffish as they don't feel the need to be bothered. Besides, they don't know the Petito family at all.
It's a nightmare scenario for any parent.
Gabby's parents are desperate for answers. They beg Brian and his family for any information. But instead of responding, the Laundries go camping. The timing of everything doesn't make sense.
Brian's parents must know something the Petitos don't know. It's either something innocent, which explains why the Laundries seem so nonchalant and are going camping right now, or there's something sinister happening.
Nicole Schmidt is alarmed by the strange sequence of events and radio silence at the Laundrie home, and the extended absence from her daughter, Gabby Petito. She cannot sit idly by any longer.
On September 11th, 2021, Gabby's mother officially reports her daughter, Gabby Petito, missing.
With a different lens now on the situation, the picture-perfect van life of Gabby Petito and Brian Laundrie starts to fade.
Gabby's disappearance garnered an immense amount of interest in international headlines and on social media. It was immediate, from millions of views to shares across platforms, and it helped ignite a nationwide search.
Police begin their investigation into the whereabouts of Gabby Petito.
Investigators quickly learned that on August 12, 2021, 2 weeks before Nicole Schmidt had last heard from her daughter, that there was an altercation between Gabby and Brian at a grocery store in Moab, Utah.
There were indicators of domestic abuse in the Gabby Petito case. One of the behaviors that was most obvious was there were signs of a physical assault.
A witness calls 911 to report that a couple is fighting in front of the Moonflower Cooperative.
An argument isn't uncommon amongst couples, but when it's placed in the middle of a missing person case, it could be crucial information. An argument also doesn't usually elicit a 911 call if they're just exchanging words. It definitely hints that something else was going on.
The caller claims they see the man slap the woman. Then they see them run up and down the sidewalk.
Another witness, though, claims the two of them are just talking aggressively. The witness also claims that the woman punches the man in the arm.
One of the witnesses claims that it appears that the man is trying to leave the woman behind and take her phone with him. They eventually drive off together in a white van.
With various witnesses giving conflicting information about the altercation, the only thing police can agree on is that an argument occurred and they left in the van. It also definitely hints that there's tension between the couple, so the police are sent to check it out.
Officers from the Moab City Police Department are dispatched. On the way, they receive a report of a van driving erratically. They conduct a traffic stop near the entrance to Arches National Park.
Police turn their body cams on, and as they meet these social media stars for the first time, a frightening new visual of Gabby Petito and Brian Laundrie emerges.
The body cam footage shows an extremely upset Gabby and a fairly calm Brian. It also shows that they both have scratches and bruises on their faces.
Law enforcement is concerned as this looks to be more than a simple argument. Not taking sides, they approach the couple and separate them in hopes of getting some answers individually.
I just try to make her calm down and be like, look, everyone's watching. And like,
The couple is questioned about a fight outside the Moonflower Cooperative and their erratic highway driving.
I don't want you. If I was going fast, I'm sorry. No, it's probably just the moment of like, I'm still shaking now. The adrenaline, seeing the lights flashing up, and then
Officers mostly question Brian about his injuries, what Gabby did to him, and ask him if he's okay.
Yeah, 3 scratches on your neck. You got 1 on your left side of your head. You got 1 in your face here.
There isn't much said or even asked about Gabby's noticeable injuries.
She was visibly upset, extremely emotional, reluctant to even explain to law enforcement what exactly had transpired that morning. The body camera footage really showed an emotionally distressed young woman who wasn't even sure how to explain what was happening.
So she talked about the fact that Brian, her boyfriend, did not support her. He didn't believe in her.
I've been building my website, so I've just been really stressed and he doesn't really believe that I could do any of it.
You know, he took the keys away from her and didn't let her enter the van. These are signs of emotional abuse, attempted isolation, but they're also the signs of an unhealthy relationship.
Gabby's asked about any violence she inflicted upon Brian. If she hit him, if she grabbed the steering wheel.
Quick question. You said you were hitting him in the arm. Did you grab the steering wheel?
No, I didn't.
You did not touch the steering wheel?
I didn't touch the steering wheel, but only for like a second, because I just saw the lights come on, and it was more just like, you're an idiot. Like, you know.
But did you grab the steering wheel and like swerve or anything like that?
No.
Okay.
Brian, on the other hand, claims he pushed Gabby slightly as a way to calm her down.
I was saying, let's just go for a walk, and she was trying to get the keys for me, so I was just going, just wait, back up, and that's when she...
He also says he's not worried about his injuries.
Is it bruised or tender or anything like that?
No.
Okay.
I'm fine, and I love Gabby. I hope she doesn't have too many complaints about me.
It was also alarming to see how Brian was so calm while he had his fiancée sobbing and be so emotional. This incident should have raised even more red flags because both Brian and Gabby admitted that they were fighting, that they actually were being physical with each other.
I am separating the two of you tonight. Okay? I want you guys both to be tonight away from each other, relax, breathe.
The police decide that whatever this is, it's just a little lover's quarrel and it can end in a peaceful way. They do suggest that one person go to a hotel and the other keep the van, and they can see each other again in the morning. No charges will be laid against either party.
And instead of this being a domestic incident, police described it more as a mental health call, suggesting that both were tired and under a lot of stress.
This feels like the right course of action for 2 passionate young lovers on an exciting but very stressful trip. They've just let their tempers boil over.
Brian Laundrie and Gabby Petito just need to cool off, and all will be better in the morning.
Things seem to be back on track when Gabby and her mom Nicole chat on the phone on August 25th. Unbeknownst to mom Nicole, 2 days later, on August 27th, 2021, there's trouble in paradise again. This time in Wyoming, where Gabby Petito and Brian Laundrie are eating lunch.
A witness sees Gabby and Brian together at the Mary Piglet's Tex-Mex restaurant in Jackson Hole, somewhere between 1 and 2 p.m.
Brian Laundrie is aggressive and arguing with the eatery's manager, waitress, and hostess, seemingly about money. He storms out of the place and returns 4 times.
Brian's opinionated and doesn't back down. He wants them to see his point of view. In his mind, he's right about the money argument.
Gabby Petito returns to the restaurant a little later. She's crying profusely and apologizing about Brian's outbursts.
Now we have at least 2 separate explosive arguments within a couple of weeks, including one which leads to police intervention between what appears to be the perfect couple.
Social media is not necessarily designed to show the world our true selves. It is mostly to show the world the ideal version of ourselves, or at least the version of ourselves we want people to think is real. Plus, if you're making your social media content with your abuser by your side, it's not like you have the ability to go online and tell people what's going on. On top of that, Brian was seen taking Gabby's phone in an argument. It's possible he was monitoring her communications.
The complete dichotomy between the nomadic static videos and witness reports, along with the disturbing body cam footage, causes concern with family, friends, followers, and definitely investigators.
The paint on this picture-perfect life is beginning to peel. According to their popular social media page, young couple Gabby Petito and Brian Laundrie are living the van life dream. But their bright, picture-perfect love story is beginning to fade. There have been arguments, altercations, and incidents with police.
Then, Gabby Petito disappears. On September 11th, Gabby's mother officially reports her daughter missing. Reporting this popular social media star missing starts a nationwide search and sparks the beginning of a worldwide media storm.
Every affiliate across the United States hops on the bandwagon of finding out where Gabby's located due to a major ratings surge when the case is aired.
The FBI now jumps in to work the case with federal, state, and local officials. At this point, it's just a missing persons investigation.
There are over 500,000 people reported missing in the United States every year, and anywhere between 89 to 92% are recovered, alive or dead. That's a terrifying statistic. What's possibly even scarier is that there's still a high percentage that are missing, possibly forever.
Everyone is hoping for the best while fearing the worst.
Gabby's traveling companion, Brian Laundrie, has returned home without Gabby. So naturally, officers want to see what they can learn from her fiancé.
There's a lot of questions being raised, like, why is he here in Florida with Gabby's van, but she's missing? This doesn't look good for Brian.
When the police arrive at the Laundrie home, they're greeted at the door by the 23-year-old's parents. They immediately tell the authorities to contact their lawyer.
Brian's parents simply shut down. Some feel it shows guilt, while others understand the media storm could easily twist anything they say.
This silence is a screaming red flag for investigators. The situation is getting out of control, and police need to up their game.
4 days after the missing persons report, Brian Laundrie is officially named a person of interest in the Gabby Petito missing persons case.
This should apply some pressure to Brian and his family, and hopefully some useful information will come out.
Gabby's friends and family are concerned, and her thousands of followers obsessed with her whereabouts.
People start poring over all of Gabby's social media posts to find some sort of clue or evidence regarding where she could be and Brian Laundrie's potential involvement.
Social media begins to blow up with well wishes, hopeful predictions, and mostly theories and accusations. Before anyone even knows what actually happened, this quickly becomes one of the most publicized cases in recent history.
I can't think of a case that has garnered this much public reaction, and not just within mainstream media. The online focus, the intensity of intrigue hasn't been seen in many missing persons cases.
The Petito family might in some ways be grateful that there's so much coverage to keep their daughter's case in the forefront of investigators' brains. But it's also another stress and a constant reminder of their own grief.
For police, it's both a blessing and a curse.
They can be difficult because it can feel like the whole world is looking over your shoulder, acting like they know more than police do, even when numerous theories are incorrect and contradictory to one another.
In journalism, there is a code of ethics that we must adhere to with any story. With social media, however, people can say whatever they want. Sometimes those things they're saying could influence or sway millions of people. In some instances, there are certain discussions that end up being helpful. However, a lot of it is characterized as being insensitive and unnecessary.
Some of the social media frenzy is even found to be motivated by potentially increased exposure or financial reward. On the plus side, fans of missing 22-year-old Gabby Petito hold a candlelight vigil outside her parents' home, keeping her story and the case top billing in the news. Donations are collected to help the search for Gabby and other missing women around the country.
The constant attention also causes some witnesses to come forward, which is a positive step, yet adds to the overall mystery.
One witness contacts the FBI to report the activities of a slow-moving white van and a generic white man acting weird, sometime between August 26th to 28th.
TikTok user Miranda Baker posts a video claiming that on August 29th, she sees Brian Laundrie hitchhiking alone in Wyoming and gives him a ride.
So this is a view of the whole journey with Brian, so that's the top.
Miranda's video gets hundreds of thousands of views, including one from Norma Jean Jelovic. Vic then realizes that she too gave Brian Laundrie a ride the same day. She calls the FBI.
This witness claims she picked up Laundrie from the Jackson Lake Dam area around 6:20 or 6:30 p.m. on August 29th. Norma Jean reports that Brian Laundrie is friendly until she offers to drop him off closer to the Spread Creek dispersed camping area in Grand Teton National Park.
Brian then gets antsy and tries to get out of Norma's vehicle as she slows down, even before it comes to a stop.
If these witness statements are correct, it corroborates the timeline, but it brings police no closer to figuring out where Gabby Petito is and what might have happened to her.
On September 16th, Brian Laundrie's family still isn't talking. So Gabby's mom, Nicole Schmidt, writes a letter.
The letter says, please, if you or your family have any decency left, please tell us where Gabby is located. We haven't been able to sleep or eat, and our lives are falling apart.
The next day, the Laundrie family invites police to come back to their home.
Finally, after all this time, Brian's parents are willing to talk and help out with any information they may have. But why the sudden change of heart? Did the letter pull on their heartstrings? Or is it for some other reason?
When officers interview the parents, they're shocked to find out that Brian is gone. The Laundries tell the authorities that Brian left a couple of days earlier to go hiking. They don't know where.
Somehow, under the spotlight of an entire nation, the prime suspect of interest in the disappearance of Gabby Petito has slipped away, right under law enforcement's nose. Two young lovers, two opposite ends of the country, no one to be found. The FBI launched an extensive search for Brian.
Authorities officially declared Brian a missing person on September 17th.
Police run into a lot of the same dangerous travelers like Gabby and Brian would. Hot temperatures, remote areas, wildlife.
There are even numerous areas that are difficult to search because they're submerged in water due to recent flooding.
Several days, weeks went by with no sign of Brian.
Investigators start to piece every potential piece of information and evidence together to try and find their way to a destination of truth.
As they connect the dots along the way, the slap in the parking lot, the huge fight in Mary Piglet's, and most importantly, the interaction with the police on August 12th.
Investigators realized they had all the signs and signals of domestic violence in front of them that day, and they had ignored them.
Gabby's fawning behavior, the injury to her cheek, Brian's attempt to control the situation, her defending herself from his pushing being categorized as aggressive, it's all so obvious.
And can have deadly consequences.
If the police had paid more attention to the signs that day or knew what they were looking at, they may have been able to save Gabby's life.
The biggest red flags for me in this video is not what I think the general public probably sees. It's what I would say the police's constant referral to their personal lives.
But my ex-wife, I'm just sharing, I know it's a little personal, but to help you understand, we would feed off each other's anxiety and spiral. You know what I mean?
I counted at least 12 references in the 1 hour and 17-minute body cam footage in which he is relating Gabby to his wife, personalizing. In psychology, they would call this transference or projection.
On September 19th, everyone's worst fears are realized. A body is found in Grand Teton National Park.
The remains match Gabby Petito's description. An autopsy confirms that it is in fact Gabby Petito.
The family gets the answers they want, but it only compounds the emotional agony they're going through. After this long, the Petito family knows deep down it's likely the case that Gabby is deceased. But until you have a body, there's hope. Now, there's no hope, only profound loss.
An autopsy confirmed that there were physical signs on her remains that Gabby died by manual strangulation.
Now, it is officially a murder investigation.
And the autopsy further reveals that Gabby died near the end of August or the beginning of September.
Police revisit their timeline and rewatch a video captured by a CCTV recording at a Whole Foods in Jackson, Wyoming on August 27th.
Gabby and Brian arrive at the Whole Foods parking lot at 2:11 p.m. They enter the store at 2:14 p.m. and then they exit at 2:30 p.m. to head back to their van.
They sit in the van for about 20 minutes or so, then they drive away.
At 2:56 p.m., Brian and Gabby pull out of the Whole Foods lot and onto Highway 89, the road north to the Bridger-Teton National Forest where Gabby's remains were found.
This is the last time Gabby Petito is seen alive.
The FBI also pays attention to a transaction that takes place on Gabby's debit card between August 31st and September 1st of 2021. They now know Gabby was already dead, which means it was Brian Laundrie and not Gabby who used the card to make that purchase.
Finally, police identify several text messages between Brian Laundrie's phone and Gabby's phone during this critical time.
The content of these conversations seem indicative of Brian Laundrie giving the impression Gabby's still alive.
With the evidence piling up, Brian Laundrie emerges as the prime suspect in the killing of Gabby Petito.
But remarkably, there's not enough evidence to make an arrest for murder, and Brian Laundrie is still missing. Police are desperate to find and question him.
On September 22, 2021, the U.S. District Court for the District of Wyoming does issue a federal arrest warrant for Brian Laundrie.
The warrant is issued pursuant to a federal grand jury indictment for violation of Federal Statute 18, USC subsection 1029A1, use of unauthorized access devices.
The warrant speaks to activities after Gabby Petito's death, mainly the unauthorized use of her debit card on Brian Laundrie's way back to Florida. It's not murder, but officers are pretty sure they can make this charge stick.
Police expect the federal warrant will draw Brian Laundrie out of his hiding spot, but it doesn't. Law enforcement continues to comb large, vast, open areas for Brian. They also continue to come up empty. But as the search continues, a detailed investigation into the body of Gabby Petito by forensic pathologists and local law enforcement is complete. With the assistance from the FBI, they uncover that her cause of death was determined to be a blunt force trauma to the head and neck with manual strangulation. This added piece of information only heightens the search for Brian.
Brian has been missing for over a month, and investigators have combed seemingly every possible inch for him, but they keep coming up empty-handed.
Then, suddenly, on October 20th, Brian Laundrie's parents, who've been helping the search parties, come across a backpack. It's on a trail the 23-year-old adventurer has been known to frequent, and it belongs to their son.
The investigators finally have a break. It's not Brian Laundrie, but it's the closest they've come in weeks. They mount a massive search in the area of the discovery.
Police have already let Brian Laundrie slip through their hands twice. With the entire world watching, they can't let him get away again. They need to hunt down this killer. September 19th, 2021, the remains of 22-year-old traveler Gabby Petito are found in Grand Teton National Park. Soon after, it's confirmed that she's been murdered by strangulation, and police are on the hunt for her suspected killer, fiancé Brian Laundrie. On October 20th, investigators finally catch a break. Brian's backpack is found near the Myakkahatchee Creek Environmental Park in Florida.
At this point, it doesn't take long for the authorities to find Brian Laundrie. However, this journey takes one more violent twist in the road.
Instead of finding Brian Laundrie alive, just his skeletal remains and some personal belongings are recovered.
Among his belongings are a white metal ring, a wooden box with a photo of him in it, a half-handwritten note, a hat with the logo Moab Coffee Roasters on it, and a handgun.
This area had actually been briefly searched earlier, but due to flooding, it was underwater at the time. Once the waters receded, it was searched more thoroughly, and the bones revealed themselves.
It's actually bizarre timing. Brian left his home September 13th to supposedly go hiking, and on September 17th, he's declared missing by authorities. During those specific few days, it rained enough to flood part of the Carlton Reserve. Brian's body was likely submerged in up to 3 feet of floodwater as indicated by the waterline on the trees. And once the floodwater receded, the FBI, cadaver dogs, and electronic detection dogs are back searching the area, and Brian's remains are found.
The subsequent day, through forensic dentistry, the remains are officially confirmed as those of Brian Laundrie.
Now, investigators have 2 dead people. They also have even more questions and even fewer answers.
The remains are given to a forensic anthropologist for examination.
Brian Laundrie's death is confirmed to be due to a self-inflicted gunshot wound to the head.
The world feels the weight of this tragedy and shares in their collective anger about such a seemingly cowardly end.
On January 21st, 2022, the FBI reveals to a still captivated nation that among Brian Laundrie's remains is his notebook.
In a small coil-bound flip pad, Brian admits to killing his fiancée and deceiving people with text messages in an attempt to convince them that she was still alive.
Brian writes he will always love Gabby. He also says she was the most wonderful girl in the world. And then he writes, "Gabby, I'm sorry."
In June of 2022, the Laundrie family's lawyer releases the full notebook entry, which claims that Gabby Petito had fallen and injured herself. So, Brian Laundrie strangled her out of mercy as a way to end her pain.
In the notebooks that law enforcement found, Brian did in fact admit to murdering Gabby.
Brian then goes on to say that he is ending his own life not out of fear of punishment, but rather because he can't stand to live another day without Gabby.
An autopsy confirmed that Brian died from a single self-inflicted gunshot wound to the head.
Everyone knows this is just Brian Laundrie's version of what happened out there, but it's as close to the truth as police, millions of online followers of the case, and Gabby Petito's family are going to get.
And because Brian Laundrie is dead, no murder charges are formally laid. The criminal case is closed.
Gabby Petito's parents have not given up on getting some sort of justice for their daughter, though.
In June 2022, Gabby's parents announced they plan to sue Brian Laundrie's parents, claiming intentional infliction of emotional distress by not sharing information. A Florida Circuit judge rules the lawsuit can move forward.
The legal action taken against Brian Laundrie's parents point to them knowing information that may have led to perhaps finding Gabby sooner. Gabby's family, being so distraught, losing a daughter in such a tragic way, forced them to question what Brian's parents may have known.
In November of 2022, Gabby's parents also file a $50 million lawsuit against the Moab Police Department for failing to prevent her death.
When law enforcement got involved in Utah, that could have been a time where true intervention would have saved Gabby's life.
And I watched his body camera footage also. It's about 40 minutes. He is referring to her like, I could imagine if she was my daughter. I have a lot to learn from my father and grandfathers. There's this real personalization of this, which is totally unprofessional. I don't know that this is going to get Gabby Petito's family a win in a lawsuit, but it's definitely unprofessional, incompetent behavior.
If Brian Laundrie can't pay for the senseless murder of Gabby Petito, someone sure as hell should. There were numerous times before the killing that bystanders and even police were involved with the volatile couple.
Now, Gabby Petito's family wants someone to pay for her death. They launch million-dollar lawsuits against the Moab Police Department and Brian Laundrie's family.
An independent investigation is launched into the incident. Captain Brandon Ratcliffe from the Price City Police Department is asked to study all of the reports and statements and footage.
His report takes months, and when it's finished, the entire thing is nearly 100 pages long.
Ratcliffe concludes that aspects of the incident are mishandled by the officers on scene and unintentional mistakes were made.
Captain Ratcliffe does make it clear that there's no way to know for sure if Gabby Petito would still be alive if things had been handled differently.
Ratcliffe's admission of law enforcement's mishandlings sends a strong message across North America. Work needs to be done to not allow this to happen again.
Despite everything said to police, despite the social media persona, this young woman was not safe. And we need to further look at ways that law enforcement can find the truth, especially when there's a young woman who clearly didn't know what to say.
During Captain Ratcliffe's investigation, he discovers the inconsistencies are with Brian's story, not Gabby's. Captain Ratcliffe also finds that during the incident, nobody asked Brian about the scratch on Gabby's cheek.
Finally, there is no information in either of the police officers' reports to document any injury that is sustained by Gabby, despite the fact she mentions it.
Captain Ratcliffe concludes it's very likely Gabby was a long-term victim of domestic violence, whether that be physically, mentally, and/or emotionally.
In the wake of the tragedy, Gabby's parents start the Gabby Petito Foundation.
The foundation is created to address the needs of different organizations that support locating missing persons. They also provide aid to survivors of domestic violence situations.
In February 2024, the Petito and Laundrie families reluctantly reach a settlement regarding an emotional distress case. The Petitos claim that the Laundries knew their son killed Gabby and intentionally withheld information. The Laundries acknowledge in depositions that during a frantic call on August 29, 2021, Brian told them that Gabby was gone and that he needed a lawyer. So that same day, they called their lawyer. They deny that Brian told him that he killed Gabby, just that she was gone.
Nothing can ever bring Gabby back. But the family hopes, through the Gabby Petito Foundation, more victims of domestic violence will have a voice, and more horrors like this can be avoided.
In 2020 alone, there were 543,018 missing person records entered into the Federal Bureau of Investigation's National Crime Information Center. The interest from the general public on Gabby Petito's case is partly due to her online presence, along with the odd set of events that took place between the couple. An adventure of two free spirits that begins with the promise of a dream life captures the imaginations and the nightmares of an entire world, and ends when one is murdered and the other commits suicide because of his brutal actions.